Today, family, we look at the 2016 San Antonio Spurs offense and how we can apply to it to our own 2K basketball or real life basketball if you choose. Alright, so we know that the Spurs have added in Lamarcus Aldridge and the team's offense has been always in evolution ever since they added Tim Duncan. Depending on roster changes, Popovich will always change the offense to maximize the results. And with an addition like Lamarcus Aldridge, the Spurs offense has once again began a new evolution. And you can see this evolution, the way it's been going, through a couple of these clips. Just here you can see. Watch, this is a high pick and roll between Ginobili and Bogdanovic. With Lamarcus Aldridge, you would think you could actually plant him in the 3-point line and spread the floor. That's what modern NBA teams like to do, 4-1 high pick and rolls. But with the Spurs and Lamarcus, no. Look at Lamarcus. He's sitting deep in the low block. And most interesting of all, Ginobili here goes to Lamarcus and not the rolling big man. The rolling big man actually seals Lamarcus. He ends up with an easy layup. Take a look at this again. This is important. This is the Cleveland game with the time winding down. This is closing time, family. This is winning time. And look at the freelance the Spurs run. This is an isolation post-up between Duncan and Kevin Love, with Lamarcus doing the entry feed. Now, with Lamarcus' shooting range, you would think he would plant himself in the 3-point line and let Duncan go to work one-on-one. Kind of in 4-1 or pace spacing. But look at the attitude of the Spurs. Once Duncan catches it, Kawhi and Lamarcus all gets into the paint. Duncan makes the shot here. This goes to show the 2016 San Antonio Spurs with Lamarcus Aldridge is a 3-2 spacing power ball team. Alright? And there's nothing wrong with that. Because this is most likely the best way to build the offense for the Spurs. You can see because of this, the Spurs have committed to making Lamarcus Aldridge the fulcrum of the offense in the low post, in the high post. And the player that benefits the most from this is actually Kawhi Leonard. So allow me to show you many clips of how Lamarcus acts as the keystone of the entire Spurs offense. So it begins with the low post. The basic notion is that Lamarcus Aldridge can really post, so we'll get him into a post position. But look at the spacings the Spurs use. Every time Lamarcus is deep in the low block, Duncan will be close on the other side with 3 shooters outside. Duncan actually sits in there and creates a lot of movement, and Lamarcus is given the space to work. Check it out here again. Duncan will sit inside as Lamarcus goes to work. This actually creates enough spacing for Lamarcus to release his shots inside the paint. This is actually a different clip. Spacing is the same. Look at how Duncan sits in the paint, and Lamarcus will either hook shot or fade away. This is what the Spurs want. And if you ever leave Duncan, if you ever dare to leave Duncan, Lamarcus is a good enough passer. Bang! Easy 2. Same thing again. You can see from a previous clip, Duncan just sits in there. See, you can't leave Duncan. So this gives Lamarcus the fade and it gives Lamarcus the hook. So this is stage 1 of that Spurs offense. It builds from the low post here, where Lamarcus is given space to work, or he can feed it to Duncan. Duncan is in there to give Lamarcus the space to finish all his fadeaway or, middle of the paint thinkers and dumpers and hook shots and things like that. But this evolves. From the low post, the Spurs can actually also move the offense a little bit higher and change it into a high-low with LMA. You see here, Lamarcus catches it in deep in the paint with Duncan popping to the top. So this high-low is also very dangerous, and they have kind of extended the offense higher now. One more time, there is the high-low from Duncan to Lamarcus. Works great. And with Lamarcus' talent, he can actually act as the high man with Duncan sitting on the low. And with Lamarcus up there, you know he's deadly from the mid-range. You can see it here again. Lamarcus is the high now. David West is the low. Lamarcus one dribble pull-up. This is his shot, and this is a high percentage shot for him. Same thing, Lamarcus on the high, Timmy on the low. Another pull-up by Lamarcus. Once again, Timmy is opening up that spacing for Lamarcus to work in the high post and in the low post. And here is between David West. Lamarcus starts in the high, and he finishes in the low. That's mind-boggling. He's very deadly in the high-low, and he's very deadly by himself in the low block. So that entire area in the middle of the court, that belongs to Lamarcus in the Spurs offense. So you ask, like, if that's the case, what does Kawhi do, right? Well, the Spurs are just too smart. Popovich is too good. With that spacing, with that space of the court completely dominated by Lamarcus, Kawhi can still actually find his offense. But the way that he has to find it is through catch and goes. He literally has to catch and attack right away. And Kawhi is crazy good at that. He's become so good at that this year. Take a look. These are all scoring plays by Kawhi where he just attacks out of the catch within the Lamarcus high-low, low post spacing. Alright? So take a look at here. Tony runs a pick and fade with Timmy. Lamarcus is in the low. Kawhi catches up top. He squeezes in there, uses the space. Lamarcus holds his man and he uses that little bit of threat and he goes in. And sometimes if Kawhi can't go all the way in the catch, he will pull up. He has this shot, and with offense like this, Lamarcus can still hold the space he likes. And from the low post, they can just kick it to Kawhi, who can do stand and shoot threes. Here it is again, Lamarcus in the low post, and he goes back to Kawhi. All catch and attacks, family. He either catch, dribbles, and shoots, or catch and shoot, or catch, dribble, dunk. Alright, here it is again from the low post. Another three-pointer by Kawhi. He catches it, he swishes it. And this time he catches it, he pump fakes, he goes into the mid-range, catch and attack out of that high post, low post spacing. So with Kawhi attacking like this, sometimes even out of floppy with the two big men in the block, the Spurs can actually maintain that Lamarcus spacing with the high-low and the low post while still getting Kawhi all the scoring chances he needs out of catch and goes. Because here they're using the two big men in the low block to just run floppy sets with Kawhi on catch and shoots or catch and drives. The spacing is maintained even with Dale West or Tim Duncan. That Spurs continuity is amazing. Alright, and here you can see everything in sequence. Everything we talked about. The Lamarcus high-low post, the Lamarcus low post, and the Kawhi catch and go all together in one play. Check it out. This is amazing. We got that Tony pick and pop with Lamarcus initially. Goes to DL. DL goes to the high-low to Lamarcus. Lamarcus from the low goes to Kawhi on a catch and attack. Kawhi catch and shoot from the corner. 3-point. Bang! That's too much. Seriously. The continuity, insane. Now, that's great. If you have the roster, please apply it to your real-life basketball team. I wish I could apply it to my team, but we don't have a Lamarcus, and I'm not a Kawhi. But what we could do is, I can take this on the 2K, and I can make this work exactly the way you just saw it in 2K16. So this is kind of why I showed you guys the footage. A lot of the times you're like, how do you come up with this stuff? This because I watch NBA games. This is how I come up with it. The first clip today, that was a double dragon, you know? Here, I'll play it again. Watch. That's a double dragon with Patty Mills, Kawhi. You're so good in 2K right now after my tips because you're running legit NBA offenses. That's all it is. That's all it is, family. So I will be going into the Spurs offense within the flow motion, and I'll run some set plays, and I'll create a specific San Antonio Spurs offense for you guys and for myself. That's incredibly fun. And if there's any other NBA teams you want to see where I do this for you, like I show you real game footage and then we apply it to 2K, or your real life basketball team if you want, you could. Let me know. And as always, thanks for coming by. So keep an eye out for the Spurs offense coming out very soon. The base is flow motion, but there's a lot of manipulation you have to do, and I'll teach you how later in the week. As always, I'll see all of you next time. Have a good weekend.